Welcome to episode number 5 of the InnerTuning podcast. My name is Richard Matasaw. InnerTuning is a practical system for spiritual and psychological well-being. It was created by Sri Shyamji Bhatnagar and is based on his discovery of the Microchakras, which are 147 stages of human awareness from complete ignorance all the way to enlightenment. Sri Shyamji is the founder of the Chakra Institute, co-author of the book Microchakras, and a world-renowned master of naada yoga, the yoga of sound. To learn more about Sri Shyamji, visit the website chakrainstitute.com. In this episode of the InnerTuning podcast, we will talk about SOORYA AAKAASHA, or golden space. Akash is a word from the Sanskrit language that means space and is associated with the 5th chakra. Surya is also from Sanskrit and it means sun. In this episode, Sri Shyamji is going to explain to us the meaning of Akash, how it correlates to space, the different types of Akash, the importance of SOORYA AAKAASHA, how SOORYA AAKAASHA is created, and how we can benefit from SOORYA AAKAASHA for healing and spiritual evolution. At the end of this episode, Sri Shyamji will share a special chant that creates abundant SOORYA AAKASHA. Sri Shyamji, could you please explain to us the meaning of Akash?
First of all, namaste to all of you. It's a greeting which really means that I acknowledge you, I bow to you, because you are the finest expression of consciousness in the universe. You may be identifying yourself with something other than consciousness, but ultimately we are all consciousness. Remember, before there was universe, there was consciousness. Universe appears, consciousness in the form of a power to observe bestows upon us. Therefore, we perceive it only in the waking state. Only in the waking state do we perceive the universe. Therefore, the one who is awake can only interpret from the memory of whatever we have. Therefore, we create our own universe. Now, in that, we identify with our body, with our gender, with our work, with our nation, our religion, our creativity, and then we start to meditate. SOORYA AAKAASHA is supposed to be the finest Akasha that a human voice can produce, in order to be able to invert our senses. Invert our senses so that we can go inward to discover the inner world. So people who are interested in meditation, they are the ones who are best qualified to practice voice in such a way that they are able to produce SOORYA AAKAASHA. You don't have to be a singer. You don't even have to have a very melodious voice. And you can produce SOORYA AAKAASHA. It all requires one-pointedness of mind and a single note, whatever note is comfortable for you. You have do, re, mi, fa, You have sa re ga ma, whatever note is comfortable for you. Just work with that note and see the magic of the sound unfold. There are 5 elements. You referred to the Vishuddha chakra, since you are talking about the subtle body in which the chakras are shining discs of light. I have to tell you a little bit about the other chakras. The earth-related chakra, earth chakra is connected with our nose, sense of smell, thighs, and colon, and the heel of our feet. These are the bodily connections through which we absorb the light of the first chakra. Then there is second chakra, which is water element. That is connected with your tongue, your calves, your genitals, and the sense, of course, is taste. Then you have the third chakra, which is called the fiery chakra, in which you see in the ancient paintings a red fiery triangle pointing downward. Now that is connected with your knees, your solar plexus, and your eyes. Then you have the heart chakra, or it is called anahat chakra. That is connected with the skin everywhere on the body. Any place you can feel, except for the calluses. Everything that you can feel on your skin is connected. It's called the organ of action of the heart chakra. And it's connected with your fingertips. The sense is touch. Unconditional love springs forth from the light of the heart chakra. So if your microchakras related with the heart chakra are open, you are filled with unconditional love. Now we come to what's called Vishuddha chakra, which is what you referred to as Akash element, space, ether. There are a number of different ways to refer to Akasha element. Primarily, it is the effect of sound. Whether religions or philosophies or science, sound is supposed to be the responsible for the creation of the entire multiverses. Sound. Therefore, to truly understand ourselves, our true nature, sound is the most natural element that we can use. Only thing we have to learn is how to use it. You can buy an instrument, but if you don't know how to use it, then it's just for an ornamentation. Or we can misuse it. In the ignorance, we will misuse it. With the knowledge, devotion, and practice, we will learn to use it properly. So now, why is Akasha so important and other elements are not as important, although they have their own status, their own place? The reason Soorya Aakasha that can be produced with human voice is to be able to rise above our field of memory. Can you imagine sitting for 2 minutes without having any thought? Because most of the thoughts are related with your memories. Language that we speak is part of memory. Every thought you think is from memory. How can you be with yourself without a memory? Because as long as we are having a single word in our mind, we are not emptying. You see, fifth chakra is where all elements dissolve. Earth is dissolved into water, water into fire, fire into air, air into Akasha. So Akasha is the purest of the five elements. But even though it is pure, unconditional love is also pure. But unconditional love is in duality. I have to have somebody to love unconditionally. Whereas in the fifth chakra, Vishuddha chakra, you see, look at the word, Vishuddha. V means ultra. Shuddha means pure. That which is ultra pure. And look at the part of the body that light affects. Your ears, your inner ear, your vocal cords, and your throat, neck. And see, the rest of the body becomes bigger and bigger and bigger as it goes down. And if you are coming from the first chakra, from the earth, and discovering the Vishuddha chakra, you can see how aesthetic and delicate the neck is. Sound. Through sound, we can rise above a state that functions with memory, intelligence and memory. Every single day, if you allow 5 to 7 minutes to rise above what you know, rise above what you remember, or make an attempt. You don't reach the very first day when you sit to meditate. No. You can start from wherever. Whatever system you may have followed before, it doesn't matter. Just rise above it. Just become as pure as a fresh-born baby. With no name, with no gender, with no idea of the mother and father. Just be the self that you are, without knowing anything, without judgment, without comfort, without discomfort. Just be. And when you make that attempt, then things start to happen. Mind starts to think. As soon as a thought comes, replace it with a mantra or any one thing you can put your mind to. Think of that. It's called dharana. Dharana is to contemplate on any one thing. Just for a minute or two. Simply to tell the minds to leave you alone. Because mind is your possession. That's why you can keep changing it. Feelings are your possessions. They come and they go. You, the subject, are there. Thoughts come, thoughts go. You are still there as a subject. So everything that belongs to you is really an object. That's why you refer to it as my body, my gender, my occupation, the one that I love unconditionally. Then comes creativity, the mind of creativity. In the lower stages, the mind works with inventions. A new song, a new poem, a new idea, a new gadget. That's at the earth level. That's what I call that the first microchakra of the fifth. It's a creative chakra. So at the earth level, you make earthly things. At the water level, you make beautiful melodies, poetry, and on and on and on. But the true creativity is to rise above all that you have learned. Because the nature of the self has to be contemplated on if you really want to know who you truly are. Otherwise, you are identifying with something that you truly are not. And sound is one of the best ways to discover that. And easiest on top of it. You don't need any instrument. You already have the voice. All you need is an appropriate sound, appropriate mantra that can work with your mind at this time. To determine that is an art, and there are some teachers who may have that ability. Many teachers may not. Now, if you really want to know the different types of akashas, because there can be a sound of a cannon, an atom bomb, or thunder, or that they produce very dark akasha. It's scary. They can freeze you. That's how terrible that akasha can be. It's dark, dark, dark. There's no other reaction except dark, fear, totally afraid and frigid. That kind of a sound. On the other end of the spectrum is the Soorya Aakasha, that ethereal sound that our vocal cords are capable to make. And once you make that sound for a minute or 2 or 3 in the morning, the effect of that lasts almost whole day. Sometimes it lasts only 8 hours, 10 hours. You can then sit at the dusk.
Sri Shyamji, a question that I think many listeners might want to learn about is talking about Akash and how sound impacts space or Akash. What the different qualities of sound are that impact different qualities of Akash.
Soorya Aakasha is limited to the human voice. No instrument can really produce Soorya Aakasha because it requires organic material. Our vocal cords are made up of live tissue, and that is able to produce Soorya Aakasha. Other instruments, they produce different types of Akasha, which is very pleasant. But Soorya Aakasha is really dependent on how well you make the sound yourself, because ultimately you want to hear your own fundamental note. And Soorya Aakasha, which is the finest, that will take you there.
So how would people learn or practice to hear the fundamental note or to create Soorya Akash?
Well, there are ways to do that. There are faster ways to do that, and then there are slower ways to do that. Ideal way is to have a response to the subtle body's demands on the physical body, so that the physical body doesn't become too lazy. Because the nature of the physical body basically is lazy. You have to wake it up when you get up. You need a coffee, you need a chai, a tea to wake up. So if you really want to go fast, you have to wake up 90 minutes before the sunrise. So that you first thing what you do is you purify yourself internally. Have a bowel movement, take a shower, Then you sit quietly with a fresh sheet around you, nothing from yesterday, totally everything clean. And then you sit facing east because the sunlight will stimulate your pineal gland gradually, as this is the only gland that is light sensitive in our body, very responsible for the higher states of awareness. So what you do is you just sit there and you listen to your own breath. Hear the sound of your own breath. When you are able to identify it, then try to make a vocal sound to match the sound of your breath. Now, what you may be hearing could be in the first octave because the sound of breath is very deep. And what you want to make is the sound that you can, which is make it in a higher octave. For example, if you are hearing a sound that sounds very close to the note of C natural, in the morning in the first octave, and you want to vocalize it, you make it C natural in the middle octave. And then you just stay on that tone. Just keep making that sound over and over and over again. Do that for 1, 2, or 3 minutes, and then be quiet. If you are making the sound for 2 minutes, stay quiet for 4. You make the sound for 3 minutes, stay quiet for 6. Start with 1 minute, and then be quiet for 2 minutes. This equation gradually will make you become more sensitive to the sound in general. And later on, if you meet a teacher who can give you a proper mantra, that will be even better. But this is a good preparation even to meet a teacher, because you have done the homework.
Yes, I remember from some sessions with you different ways that Soorya Akash has been explained. And I remember at one point, maybe you said this, or maybe I imagined that you said this, but this idea of it as sort of like a spiritual vitamin or a special vitamin that most of us aren't aware of. Could you elaborate on why it's important? What is it doing? Why does it matter?
You know, these days, everybody is interested in healing, whether it is a psychological reason or a physical reason, or just curiosity of what healing is. The healing energy travels in Soorya Aakasha. Because people are not able to produce Soorya Aakasha to the extent that is needed, the healing energy does not last very long. If healers would learn to produce a Soorya Aakasha first, and then they use their hands for the healing, the effect will be manifold. But the best is to work with the sounds and work with your own fingertips. Learn how to touch. Your own touch is the most healing touch there is, but you must work with the sound. Your own sound and your own touch. Try it.
So let me see if I understand. As sound gets more refined, since it's directly correlated with space, space essentially becomes more pure. And so if we're able to open up the most pure space, we can be in that balance, that equanimity, that beyond memory place where it's pure and we're in touch with our true nature and we're able to access maybe the most pure light And if we're working with our hands, that light, as we're absorbing it in that space, is transmittable through the hands on whatever we're working with or whatever we're working on. So by doing a practice like this, we're maybe plugging in to the source in a way that we can use that source for the benefit of ourselves and others. Is that a summary that makes sense?
Somewhat, yes. The thing is that the source is in me as well as it is outside. In other words, source is not something linear. It is everywhere. It is not localized. It's a continua. It's a continuum. Even if in the relative language we say that I am producing Soorya Aakasha and touching you or someone for healing, it is all it's segments. They are looking at a part with a microscope. In fact, you are the healer and you are the healed, and you are the source and you are the recipient. It's the veil of ignorance that we need to remove, that binds us to think that I am this body and you are that body. You see, this is why it's so important to learn to produce Soorya Aakasha, but you have to purify yourself every day.
I wanted to ask you two things, Sri Shyamji. Number one, if you might be able to recommend something for people to download that are maybe new to this work that's on the website. And then after recommending that, if you would be willing to share a chant to conclude this episode where we all can have an experience of Soorya Aakash as we close the episode.
Mm-hmm. Well, there are complementary mantras on our website. You go there and you can download what is called Sri Radhe, S-R-I. Mantra is Radhe, R-A-D-H-A-Y. And then there is another mantra for the fifth chakra, which is also complementary. It is to invoke the presence of your inner guide, your inner guru, who can then guide you. And that mantra is called Jai Guru Deva. That's also complementary. So work with those two mantras and see if you can get something out of it. And then, of course, if you want to work with some specific issues, look at the product page and there are a number of different mantras available. I'm going to make a couple of segments so that you can experience the Soorya Aakasha as much as it is possible through the instruments that we have. Usually Soorya Aakasha is absorbed when people really hear these things in person. But through the media, what people get is depending on the quality of the media you are utilizing. Yeah. Deva 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 Hara Mahadeva Deva 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 Hara Mahadeva Deva Deva Deva. Har Maha Har Mahadeva Deva Deva Har Maha Deva Deva